Hey guys, it's Glenn from glenscarcollection.com, and a few weeks ago we did a head-to-head comparison with my E46 M3 and my BMW 1M. So I told you I'd make a follow-up video to it, which I am, where you got to vote who wins the head-to-head, and if you use an intelligent comment, I would use it in the video. So the good news is we got a lot of intelligent comments. Maybe I should say that for every video, so that was really good. It was awesome. We got about 99% likes on this video as far as percentage likes to dislikes. We had really actually higher than that, about 99.9% of people who voted liked it. And we had really good results with the E46 and 1M. It was actually pretty close. So let's go through the comments first, and then I'll tell you who won at the end. And we'll have more videos of both of these cars going for head-to-heads. So Jojo C, who's been probably one of our first subscribers, said, I would take the E46 M3 because you could buy two for the price of the 1M. That's true. And the rest of his comment, which he said if I was a collector, then of course the 1M. So that could be a common theme here. We'll see as we go through the comments. Obviously, 26,000 E46 M3s to 740 BMW 1Ms here in the United States. Obviously, the 1M was an instant collectible. You know, the M3 when it came out was just the latest and greatest M3. Over time, with cars getting more electronic and going to automatic transmissions and all-wheel drive, we realized how good that car is, and turbochargers. So now we have the E46 M3. It's stood the test of time. It's a great looking car. I think it's probably the best looking M3. It's the supermodel that's never aged. And it is a normally aspirated engine, which you can't really find today if you try. Manual transmission, which you really can't find today if you try. Rear wheel drive, which a lot for performance and just for buyers who want all wheel drive is going away. And it's really got everything going for it. The only thing it doesn't have going for it is it's not mid-engine, but neither is the 1M. And it's obviously an older car now. You know, they're 15, 16 years old, depending what, and they're going to have higher mileage because they were used as regular cars. They weren't instant collectibles. So, you know, you're going to have to put some money in them, and my car is no exception. Now, Michael Cohen here made a great comment. E46 M3 is his choice. He's had other cars like the 135i, which is a great, I would say poor man's version of the 1M. You can easily tune, because of the turbo motor, a 135i and make it faster than a 1M. But he makes a great point here. The S54 is really a gem and really worth winding it out. And that's true. So as far as engine goes here, I mean, I love both these cars. That's why I own both of them. The best engine is that S54. You can wind it out. You got an 8,000 RPM redline. You're not going to have the power that the 1M has, especially if you're going to mod it out, but it's just a joy to rev that. It's best enjoyed if you live in an area where the roads have turns. We have a lot of mountain roads here. The E46 M3 is just amazing to drive on those roads. Now we have Arthur Teo here, voted for the 1M, and he's got an Acro Evo exhaust, and that must sound amazing. He makes some really good points here. The 1M pivots on a dime and always feels ready to spit you into the curb when you get complacent. And that's a great, so the E46 M3 is always a great car. There is a sport button with it, but the 1M, even though it does have the sport button with the overboost, is hair on fire all the time. So when I had, for my M2 versus the 1M, and you can see in that comparison video, the M2 is a regular BMW until you put it in Sport Plus. The 1M is really Sport Plus all the time. So there's no way to drive that car calmly. It's always hair on fire, short wheelbase, you feel every bump. It's got hydraulic steering like the E46 M3. It's a twitchy car, it just wants to go. Longbow DT said 1M, just for its visceral driving experience, cut and thirst driving ability, compact styling, and best sports car image. And it obviously only comes with a manual transmission and is really back road capable. That's sure, 100%. And I did not sell my 1M, so that's a misprint on my website that I'm trying to fix. So I have that car. That's a keeper car for me. And the E46 M3 is probably a keeper as well. So Mr. 335i BMW said the 1M is such a collectible car. Yes, definitely. Frozen Car Guy always makes great comments. 1M has a better chance of going up in value. That would be my pick. However, both cars are fantastic. And that's how I feel. The 1M, I think, is already going way up in value. You're going to see more of that in the next couple of years. Cars typically have big rises when they're 10, 15, 20, 30. So the 1M in 2021 is going to be 10 years. Remember, it was only produced in model year 2011. And then I think you're going to see a lot of videos, a lot of articles written that that car came out 10 years ago, and that was really probably the last analog car before cars got digital. And I think that's when you're going to see a super high value. Paul Vick says, he says the 1M and the M2, almost 20 years later, there's no clear-cut successor to the legendary M3, E46 M3 Coupe with a manual tranny. And that's why he bought one with very low miles in 2019. Great comment. And there really isn't a successor. So the 1M, you know, with its turbocharged motor and it's a non-M motor, really isn't the new E46 M3. And you can make a case that the M2 kind of is, but same thing. Turbocharged motor, and it is not an M motor. Great comment, great comment. T1 or TL 2004 ever said from an iconic and nostalgia standpoint, he would pick the E46 M3 all day. However, the 1M is just a better overall car. And we'll get into the percentages of what you guys voted. And so Kung Tita said both are future classics. I agree with that. And the M3 just wins. It's the more purest of the two, the last NA straight 6 M3. Great looking. Jonathan Brown, who's been one of our first subscribers, he says, he always makes great comments, 1M gets my vote. A newer car, he likes newer cars and it looks like a Bulldog. And that's a really good point. If you're not used to having an older car, the E46 M3 may not be good for you. And again, they're 15, 16 years old now. Most of them have high miles, like my car is 90,000 miles. Even though they may look great, you know, stuff wears out at that point. So you're always going to sink money into it. You can see some of my buying videos on how to buy the E46 M3. Peter Tung said 1M. It's a limited edition and more special. I'll spell this YouTuber commenter KRBCRWLR. He votes for the 1M. He says it's rare, it's super flared. That's right. Matt Farrow always says cars with fender flares go up in value in turbo potential. You can certainly tune and make them with big power. Just a simple Cobb tune for like $600 will give you 450 foot-pounds of torque from that 370. It makes a huge difference. JH Rodriguez 08 says E46 M3 for me. He's biased. He owns one. But if he had 1M money, he would buy the M2 competition that has an M engine, S55. No questions asked. And I'm sure you could see our M2 comp review that we posted a couple weeks ago. 34 hockey player, also one of our first subscribers. The BMW 1M, instant collectible, though an E46 M3 is a car almost everyone can afford. And that's right. The E46 M3 is way more affordable. And as JoJo said, you could get two of them for the price of 1M. Well, you know what? You don't need two of them. Just buy one of them. Mark Baum, who always makes great comments and been a subscriber a long time, 1M. He says more aggressive styling, especially from the side profile, and most importantly, the ability to tune the turbo. So spooling will get you drooling. I agree with that. So you can certainly make big power with the 1M. Dad Life said he's owned both and he definitely preferred the 1M. It's smaller, more nimble with a perfect amount of power. That recipe makes it a unique car. Still has the old school feel with just the right bits of newer engineering. I agree with that 100%. 128-192, who I believe has like a 90,000 mile 1M, probably the most highest mileage 1M that I could think of, maybe in the country, maybe in the world. He might be pushing 100,000 miles, so maybe if you can let us know how many miles you have. He bought his 1M about the same time I did 5 years ago, and he used it as a daily driver, good for him, and put a ton of miles on it, so he definitely knows 1Ms. Let's see, what else do we have here? Someone else said money no object 1M, but he would be very happy with the E46 M3. And again, if you can afford the 1M, that's probably the direction I would go. I think your money is safe there and it'll go up faster than the E46 M3. Not all E46 M3s are going to go up because remember, they're older cars now and probably only the finest stock examples. But buy those cars on condition, not mileage, if you're planning on driving it. David T said he would choose the E46. He has an M135 with the N55 engine. Don't get me wrong, it's fantastic, but the rare driver-focused old-school M3 is rare and special. And that's true. I agree with that. And I can't. Cyrum 20 says the E46 M3 has the beauty you can instantly fall for. I agree with that. Valentine says E46 M3 wins easily, even though it's not limited like the E46 M3 CSL. Now, I know people watch these videos all over the world. We never got a CSL here in the United States. So the best you can get is an E46 M3 with the competition package. And Performance Car says both are great cars, but the E46 M3 is the better deal. So I believe he's saying when you're factoring money. But money aside, he would take the 1M. Ratsy said M3 wins styling and the NA engine wins for me. Billy Johnson, who I believe owns an E46 M3. He said E46 M3 hands down, classic, legendary, iconic. I agree with that. That's why I bought one. Tim turns on and off, said E46 M3 isn't even the best car with the S54 engine. He prefers the Z4M Coupe. But for these two cars, he would say the 1M is better. And then 2M1 said 1M for sure. So there we have it. So let's go into, if you haven't kept track on those comments that I just told you, 59% of you voted that the 1M was better. Now, I think you can make a really strong case, especially factoring in money, that the E46 M3 probably gives you 80 to 90% of a 1M. And some things, obviously, the 1M doesn't give you, like the naturally aspirated engine. But I think both cars are amazing to drive, and whatever, I think you got to get one of these cars, guys, because I think it's a good place to park your money, and you'll have that driving experience. Get one of these cars and keep it forever, and you'll thank me that you did. These cars are going to get harder and harder to find as the years go by, and they're eventually going to get to ridiculous prices where it's not going to be worth it to get one. So own one now, and then when it gets to a ridiculous price, you could sell it or keep it. The choice is yours. Thanks again for watching. Remember, subscribe, like, share. Make comments on this video as well for your comments for the 1M and E46 M3 comparison. Right now, at the end of this video, I'll put that comparison at the end here so you can watch it so everything we're saying makes even more sense. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.